Hi folks, Six Slices here. A while back I showed you a knife called the Olamic Whippersnapper, which was a really, really nice top flipping pocket knife, which I really liked very much. The only thing I was a bit taken aback with was there was a slightly kind of gaudy design to it. This one, I suppose, has some of that, but is a little bit more subtle in that you've got this sort of satin bronze and sort of shiny bronze additions, and the inside of these circles is bronze, shiny bronze, anodized as well. So it's a bit more subtle than the last one, but it's still quite a showy, smart knife. This is actually, it's called the Soloist, and it's a sort of rather bigger offering from Olamic in that it has, it's about 246 millimeters overall, with a blade of 107 millimeters, so it's just north of 4 inches. The Whippersnapper was rather smaller than that. This isn't a top flipper. This is a traditional type of flip, plus it has adjustable thumb stud. Now, the thumb stud is adjustable, but it's only usable really from one side. So you could reverse it, but it would have to be reversed if you're going to use it left-handedly. Now, I have not been able to flick this knife once. Now, as usual, that's not because the knife's at fault. It is purely down to my inability to flick a knife. What is true is it doesn't have the action of a Shirogorov, and nor does it have the action of the Whippersnapper. Yeah, I can't get it to flip. Now, it's got a heavy blade, so a wee bit of wrist would probably have done it as well, but I don't have that facility. So, what do we have here with the Soloist? Well, for a start, we have a pretty big knife. As I say, it's got a blade of just over 4 inches, so it is a fairly hefty knife, and it's not a samey titanium slab by any means. There's plenty to get into here. This blade is quite kind of wacky. I have to say it's probably not to my aesthetic taste, but I'm quite sure that for some people this will be really beautiful. This sort of almost like a bent dagger shape here, because this is a false edge. It's not a sharp edge, but it does kind of almost look dagger-like with this ribbon here and falling off to both sides. One could almost think of it as a semi-bayonet grind, because you've this false edge coming down to a bit over halfway down the blade. It could be any of those. I think you could call it a modified Warncliffe with this curve here, and there's a little bit in here. Is it a modified harpoon? It defies immediate definition, and in some ways I quite like that. You can think about that and think it over in your mind and decide what you think it is. Anyway, it has a good stonewash finish, which is good for use, and as I say, it has this thumb stud, which is adjustable along the length of the groove, and I believe reversible, so you can put it on the other side if you're left-handed. Again, and this is aesthetics, not real practicality. In practicality, having a movable thumb stud is a good thing, because sometimes you may want it just completely out of the cutting path, then you can move it right back here. Alternatively, you might want it easier to open, in which case you move it further out. I think I just don't think it's very attractive. I don't like the look of it. I think if it was mine, I'd probably take the thumb stud, just take it off. You'd still be left with this straight through fuller, which you could use for opening a knife if you wanted to, and you've also obviously got the flipper, and I'm sure most people can flip it without any trouble. I think I find the D10 a little bit weak, perhaps, so it doesn't fire out for me. But I think again that's just me. I think they've also made quite a nice job of the flipper in that it's got this sort of hole cut out in it, so it's not just a bit of metal sticking out the end of the blade. Some thought has gone into what that should look like, and it's got sort of machining all round. It's not just a stamped out piece. Now, when it comes to the handle, wow. Set aside all the holes and decorations and different finishes, you've got a sort of, I don't know, almost like pistol-like grip on it, which stands out just in and of itself. And add in then that you've got the bronzed highlights on the screws and pivot, which also match the thumb stud. But you've also then got these machinings, which actually reminded me of the Fox Suru, actually, which they're machined and they're polished inside and bronzed, whereas you've got the satin bronze on the rest of the handle. Now, one thing I haven't shown you yet, but again, actually, funnily enough, reminds me of some of the Mazarin knives, is the way that they've done their file work on the backspacer. Now, this is probably the thing that marks it out most as being a special limited edition, and probably adds most to the cost of the knife as well, because this comes in at a little over $700, which is quite a lot. In this company, I suppose, in the company of some of the Shirogoros and so forth, may not look that expensive, but considering the amount of extra machining and time that's gone into this knife, you wouldn't be at all surprised to find it's that expensive. Also, I wouldn't have been surprised to find it was made in Italy, but it's not, or at least it's not according to their website. It gives the country of origin as USA, but I have to say the machinings here look very Fox-like, and the backspacer looks very Mazarin-like, both Maniago knife makers. So, but as I say, they say that this is made in the USA. There was a bit of controversy about them a while back in terms of what does made in the USA mean. Does it mean assembled from parts made elsewhere, or does it mean that all the parts are made in the USA? And how far do you take that? For example, could the hardware be manufactured overseas? I don't know. But as I say, they claim it to be an American product. My suspicion is if it's not, or if the parts are made elsewhere, they're probably, to my mind, more likely made in Italy than in, say, China. Now, you've got a machined titanium clip with two standoffs. It's not my favourite sort of titanium clip, I have to say. I haven't really tried it, so I don't know how well it works in the pocket. But at least it's machined fairly thin, so it should at least bend a little, have a little bit of spring in it. There you've got a steel insert and over travel stop, which are done reasonably subtly. You do end up with a couple of screws, but it's not too much. We do have, however, a proprietary pivot screw, which I'm never a huge fan of. I suspect the same tool probably is used for the thumb stud as for the pivot, and I suppose it does produce a reasonably nice looking pivot. The other thing is, I don't know who actually designed this knife. I do know that Olamic have done a partnership with Michael Fagnino, who I particularly like for the zip slip, although I like the Kaiser version particularly more than than his custom ones. Olamic are otherwise a family-owned company, and they're based in California. So I don't have much more to say about this knife. To say it is a chunk of a thing. It's quite heavy, 191 grams, and but it's got its things to recommend it. It's there's plenty of interest in it. File work is really quite nice, as I say, reminiscent of a lot of Italian file work rather than British or Spanish. Anyway, that's enough of that. Or British or French rather. If you like the stuff, please give it a thumbs up. If you want to see more of it, please subscribe. And if you'd like more people to see my channel, please add a comment, because that does help to push it out a little bit. Thank you very much. See you next time. Bye.